And we're back on the back side now. Create your own. Yeah, give it a try. Come up with your own. Maybe a 1x squared minus, I don't know. Let's see. Maybe just create your own. No, you create your own. Maybe like a 5x. Ooh, but that would actually not be 5x since that was plus. You could change it to plus. You would create your own. Yeah, that would work because then you would factor that into x and x, and maybe 2 and 3. Interesting. Create your own. Create your own. Be creative. And then those answers, when you go on Canvas, will not be on Canvas because it's hard to collect all of your answers in one assignment like that. It'd have to be a different thing, like a survey. Okay, so we're on to the quadratic formula. Woo! Quadratic formula. Here we go. So this one we're going to say tricky, but we do want you to try that one. And this one's not too bad. This one's not too bad to demonstrate. So I'm going to go ahead and get everything on the same side, right? So we're going to go ahead and add 2x here, and then we're going to then we're going to minus 3 over here. This is actually a weird one. This is a weird one too. So we get 5x squared. Negative 3x plus 2x is negative 1x because the 3's cancel. So that's silly. That just goes away. So if we're using the quadratic formula, right, you'd have your a is next to, so basically ax squared plus bx plus c. But in this case, we don't have a c. Okay. So that means that we'd have to do x equals negative b. So negative b is a negative 1. X equals negative 1. Plus or minus the square root of b squared, which is also that same negative 1 squared, minus 4, that's actually part of the formula, so we'll change that to green because you're always going to have, with your formula, you're always going to have the minus 4ac, so that means I'm changing all this to be the formula now in green. There we go. X equals negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac. Well, I guess we do have a c value. Our c is actually 0. What the woo? That might change some things actually. So 4a, just 5, and then c. And our c value is 0. That's gonna make things go away. Because negative 4 times 5 is negative 20, but then times 0, that's going to make it go away. That's crazy. All over 2a. And so our a again is 5. Huh. And again, the formula part was the stuff in green. That's part of the formula. Okay, wow, that's crazy looking. So now we're going to have x equals negative 1. Plus or minus the square root of, negative 1 plus or minus the square root of, well, negative 1 squared is just a positive 1. And then it's going to be all over 2 times 5 is 10. So negative 1 plus or minus square root of 1 is just 1. All over 10? That's crazy. I don't even know. I think we should have just factored this one. This one would have been easier. I don't even know. That didn't look right. I feel like I made a mistake somewhere. Let's see, our c value, do we even have a c value? Is it 0? This is crazy. Negative 4a times c. Wow, this is crazy. Negative 1 plus or minus. Well, the plus is going to go away because negative 1 plus 1 is 0. But negative 1 minus 1, that'll be 2/5. That'll be 2/5. Yeah, so I think it's going to work. Okay, so we have negative 1 plus 1 over 10, and negative 1 minus 1 over 10. Well, negative 1 plus 1 over 10 is just 0 over 10, which is just 0. So that's one of our answers. X equals 0. And then the other one is negative 1 is negative 2/10. And so, let's see here, so negative 2/10, it can be reduced, right? That can be reduced to negative 1/5. Whoa, that's crazy. So those are our two answers. We can actually verify this honestly by just factoring, because we added 2x over, so we had 5x squared minus 1x. We could have just factored that. We could have just single factored that and just pulled out an x. And when you did that, you'd be left with 5x minus 1. And yep, you set that equal to 0. You set this being equal to 0. Oh, but this is a 1? That's a positive 1/5. How did we get a negative 1/5? Let's see, our b value was -1. Oh, because our b value, so x equals -b plus or minus the square root of. That is actually part of the formula, huh? Part of formula, that negative. Remember the -b is part of the formula? Yeah, so then the number we plug in is actually a -1 there. So that becomes a +1, that becomes a +1, that becomes a +1, that becomes a +1. So this is the one that goes to 0, and then this is the one that becomes a 2/5. Positive 2/10, I mean. Positive 2/10, positive 2/10, positive. Sorry about that. Okay, so we got a positive 1/5 and 0. Woo! These are actually all tricky. I'll just try number 9. Number 8 as well, just to remind you that when you're like factoring out something, so for example, I don't know, when you're factoring out like, what was it? Let me see in my head just a second. I think it was like 31 times 4. Yeah. So don't forget when you're factoring out 124, right, and your negative b is a -2, that this can actually factor into 4 times 31, and then the square root of 4 and the square root of 31. So 124 factors into 4 and 31, but they're still into the house. And then this becomes a +2 plus or minus. The square root of 4 is just 2 times square root of 31. And then I'll let you finish the rest, right? You got to do your 2a, 2 times a, where your a is actually a 5. I'll let you reduce that. But you just forgot to do the rest of it. You got to do the b squared minus 4ac. What the heck? Okay, so Pythagoreans did no. That's quadratic formula. Quadratic formula. Hint: first put the equation into the form ABC before you use the formula. Cool. Okay, so then we have our water rocket launcher. So my hint to that, -2x squared plus 12x plus 0. So my hint to that actually is we want to factor this, but I would actually pull out a -2x, single factoring out, a -2x. And so when you do that, you end up with just x, let's cancel 12 divided by -2, -6. Yeah, and so those are the two factors that you want to set equal to 0. Right? Yeah. And then whatever you get there, that'll be your answer of how far the rocket lands. So it's going to start here, and then how far does that rocket land? What is the maximum of the height? So the maximum of the height is just the vertex. X equals -b over 2a. And so we have our original formula that this is your a, and this is your b. And so you're going to use that and plug it in here and here. And that's going to get you the x value. And then you're going to take that number and you want to find the y value, right? You want to find how high it goes. And so what you do then is you take your formula, -2x squared plus 12x, and you're going to take that x value, and you're just going to take that x value, and you're just going to plug it in there, and you're going to plug it in there. And that'll give you your answer. So that was actually a lot of help. Okay, nice. I think you'll be fine with 13, 14, 15, 16. On the back side, don't forget the perimeter. On the back side, don't forget the perimeter of a rectangle, which is 104 inches. So perimeter means like to add it all the way around. So if like this is 2 and this is 2 and this is 4 and this is 4, you would do 2 plus 2 plus 4 plus 4. So there's your hint there, and then set it equal to the perimeter. And so yeah, so basically with this one you want to factor this, and then that's your base and your height, right? Yeah, that's your base and your height. So like 2x and 3x, and then factors of 1 are 1 and 1. And so you're going to use those over and over. You're going to do 2x plus 1 plus the other width, or the other side of the rectangle, 2x plus 1, plus the 3x plus 1 plus the 3x plus 1. Wow! And you're going to set that equal to the perimeter, which is 104. And you're going to combine all those x's and all those numbers. So combine your x's and combine your numbers. And then you're just going to solve for x. Yeah, that was really tricky when we saw in stage testing. Okay, area of a triangle, the hint that I gave you is 1/2 base times the height. And they give you the base and the height, right? Yeah. They give you 4x plus 1 as the base and 3x is the height, right? Right? Yeah. And so they tell you the area is 27. And then the other hint is that area can never be negative. So watch out there. For your x equals, so the area, you can't have an area will never equal a negative number. Never equal a negative number, so just don't use that one in your answer. Whatever number you get is negative, don't use it because you can't have area of a negative number. Okay, I think you got it. So the mixed review, yep, y equals mx plus b, and y, here we go, factor that one, good. Factor this one, we're just practicing more factoring. And then this one, use the formula, y minus y1, remember, equals the slope, times x minus x1, use that formula. This one, there's your y-intercept, you should be really good at these by now, I hope. And then there's your slope, We're going up one. Cool. So thanks for watching, hope I gave you some helpful hints there, but without giving it away completely. So you, behind the screen, thanks for doing quadratics with me.